House of the Dragon is not coming back quietly. It is coming back with grief, blame, dragons, and a queen who looks like she is one more loss away from becoming something far more dangerous than anyone around her is ready for. Because if this trailer is telling the truth, Season 3 is not just about war getting bigger. It is about Rhaenyra changing forever. Hey, what's up everyone? Come back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Now, the new trailer for House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 2 makes one thing very clear right away. This season is not opening with recovery. It is opening with consequence. The Battle of the Gullet did not just change the military board, it shattered people. And the biggest fallout of all is sitting directly on Rhaenyra's shoulders. Jace is gone. The pain is fresh, the grief is raw, and the trailer keeps asking the same dangerous question over and over without saying it directly. What kind of ruler does Rhaenyra become after this? So let's break this down properly, because there is a lot happening here. The emotional center of the trailer is obviously Jace's death. You can feel it in almost every Rhaenyra scene. This is not just a mother mourning a son. This is a queen losing one of the last pieces of her future that still felt clean. Jace was not only important politically, he represented continuity, hope, a version of the future that still felt like it could be built rather than seized through fire and grief. And now that future is gone.
That is why the line, "Jace, what have you done?" matters so much. It can be heard in more than one way. Maybe she is speaking to his memory. Maybe she is trying to process the consequences of his death. Maybe she's blaming someone around her. Maybe she is blaming the war itself. But no matter how you read it, the point is the same. She is no longer in the emotional place she was before the Gullet. And in my opinion, that is exactly why this season could become so dangerous. Because Lucerys's death broke Rhaenyra emotionally. Jace's death may harden her politically. That is a huge difference. One grief made her collapse inward. This one may push her outward. Now let's talk about Daemon, because if Rhaenyra is the emotional center of the trailer, Daemon is the accelerant. He is not the kind of man who tells someone to pause and process. He tells them to move, strike, claim, and punish. So if Rhaenyra is standing at the edge of a darker path, Daemon is the one most likely to tell her that the path is necessary, that her pain proves she has every right to escalate, that mercy is now a luxury they cannot afford. And honestly, that is what scares me most about the trailer. It's not just that Rhaenyra is grieving, it's that she's grieving while standing next to someone who knows exactly how to turn sorrow into action. Personally, I think Daemon's role this season is going to be less about comforting her and more about validating whatever rage is building underneath her. And once that starts happening, the war changes shape. It stops being only about succession and starts becoming personal revenge with dragons. Now let's move to Sheepstealer, because this is one of the most important framing choices in the trailer.
A lot of viewers are naturally going to connect the chaos of the Gullet to that wild dragon and immediately start assigning blame. But the trailer feels careful about that. It does not present Sheepstealer like some evil force making a calculated choice. It presents the dragon more like a frightened, instinctive creature thrown into violent chaos. That matters especially for Rhaena, because if the Blacks start emotionally treating Sheepstealer as part of what went wrong, then Rhaena gets caught in a deeply unfair place. She becomes connected to a tragedy she did not cause and could not control. And House of the Dragon loves that kind of emotional pressure. It loves putting people in situations where they carry guilt that technically does not belong to them, but still reshapes how everyone around them sees them. So keep an eye on how the show handles that. Now, let's go over to the green side, because this trailer makes it very clear that they are not slowing down either. Ormund Hightower feels much more central now, and that is important because he represents the larger military machine of the Greens continuing to move even while the core family is fractured. He talks like someone who still believes this war has moral structure, that there is a rightful line, a rightful order, a mission that must be completed. And that is where Tumbleton starts becoming extremely important. The trailer seems to be quietly loading that location with weight, and if the season really is building where most people think it is building, then Tumbleton is not just another battlefield.
It is one of those places where the war stops feeling contained and starts feeling like it is tearing open the whole realm. Now let's talk about Aemond, because this man is no longer acting like a prince in waiting. He is acting like a historical event. The Harrenhal material proves that. Burning parts of the castle the way the trailer suggests is not only tactical, it is symbolic. He is trying to mirror Aegon the Conqueror, and that tells you everything about his state of mind. Aemond does not just want victory, he wants legacy. He wants to feel like history itself is moving through him, and that is terrifying because once a person in this universe starts believing they are chosen by destiny, every destructive choice starts feeling justified. In my opinion, Aemond is one of the scariest characters in the trailer, not because he's the strongest, but because he's the most convinced that his violence means something sacred. Now, here's where the contrast gets really good. On one side, you have Aemond trying to become legend through fire. On the other side, you have Aegon trying to claw his way back to relevance through survival. That is the green split right now. Aegon still believes something is his. He is angry, humiliated, and clearly not done. And if the season really is building toward him reconnecting with Sunfire in a meaningful way, then that gives him something he desperately needs: identity. Because right now, Aegon is not just injured physically, he has been stripped symbolically.
So the moment he gets even a piece of that old self back, his desire to fight returns with it. And if Aegon and Aemond keep moving in opposite directions emotionally, the Greens may become even more unstable from the inside than people expect. Now let's move to the big destination this trailer is building toward: King's Landing. Multiple shots suggest Rhaenyra and her side are no longer content to circle around the claim. They are moving toward it directly. Troops, dragons, Daemon inside the Red Keep. Everything here says one thing: she is done waiting for recognition and is preparing to take what she believes belongs to her. And on paper, this should feel triumphant, but the trailer keeps poisoning that triumph with grief and prophecy. That is the real danger, because once Rhaenyra starts seeing herself not just as heir, but as someone tied to a larger purpose, the whole moral equation changes. And if there is one thing George R.R. Martin's world has taught us repeatedly, it is that prophecy is not safety. It is not guidance. It is fuel for disaster. People hear what they want. They act too soon. They justify too much. So if Rhaenyra begins wrapping her war in destiny, then Season 3 may not be about her rise. It may be about the cost of mistaking pain for proof that the gods are on your side. And that, to me, is where the trailer becomes brilliant. It is not just saying the war gets bigger. It is saying the emotional logic behind the war gets more dangerous. Now, let's not ignore the small folk, because the trailer definitely does not. There are hints of unrest, fear, instability, and that matters so much. One of the biggest mistakes characters in this universe make is treating the throne like it exists in a vacuum. It does not. If Rhaenyra takes the city, but the people under her are already exhausted, frightened, and unstable, then the throne becomes less a symbol of victory and more a pressure cooker. That is why I think the season is setting up something much bigger than just dragon fights. It is setting up the cost of ruling over a realm that is already emotionally and politically broken. Now let me lock in a prediction here. I think Episode 2 is not going to be the biggest battle episode of the season. I think it is going to be the episode that emotionally rearranges the board. Rhaenyra gets harder, Daemon gets more influence, Aemond leans further into self-created myth, Aegon begins reconstituting his identity, the Greens grow militarily while rotting internally, and the closer Rhaenyra gets to King's Landing, the more dangerous her own belief system becomes. That is the path I think the trailer is laying down. Before I finish, let's do the fast-fire breakdown of what matters most. Jace's death is the emotional trigger for the whole season. Rhaenyra is no longer just grieving, she is transforming. Daemon will likely turn that grief into political momentum. Sheepstealer is being framed as instinctive chaos, not malicious evil.
Ormund and Tumbleton are being positioned as major future pieces. Aemond is chasing conqueror energy like history personally owes him something. Aegon may become relevant again through anger and Sunfire. And the trailer is making it very clear that the closer Rhaenyra gets to King's Landing, the more dangerous prophecy becomes. Because whenever someone in Westeros thinks destiny is finally on their side, things tend to get very ugly very fast. So overall, I think House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 2 is coming back with exactly the kind of emotional weight it needed. Not just dragons and war, grief, ideology, blame, and transformation. And if this trailer is accurate, Episode 2 is not simply about who attacks next, it is about who these people become now that too much has already been lost. But anyway, that is my breakdown of the House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 2 trailer and my theories on what it is really setting up next. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. Do you think Jace's death makes Rhaenyra stronger, or does it push her toward becoming more dangerous than anyone around her realizes? I will catch you in the next one.